Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Trust and Believe. I'm your host, Shaun T. And today I'm going to enhance your ability to trust and believe. And you know what? You don't have to overwork yourself and the things that comes with the thought about you overworking yourself. As you all know, I have been in the fitness industry for 25 years. I'm actually smiling saying that. And one of the reasons I'm so consistent is because I don't beat myself up, and I don't want you to do that either. So sit back, get ready to trust and believe in the power of you getting through the day and believing that you can do it no matter how you feel.
Somebody say hell yeah!
No.
What's up?
He's better than Oprah.
Come on, y'all!
This is Shaun T, and it's time to trust and believe. I ain't gonna lie. I woke up at 4 o'clock a.m., mind you. Now, the first thing that happened at 4 o'clock in the morning, because I ate some Chipotle burritos, and for some reason, the people at Chipotle put the really spicy sauce on there. And I know you're probably like, Shaun, why are you eating Chipotle burritos? But my trainer actually encourages me to eat white rice and an actual tortilla. That's the joy of what I'm doing. I'm not like stressed about what I eat necessarily. It's all really good for me, and it's getting the glycogen to my muscles. But anyway, when I go to Chipotle, I don't order the spicy stuff. I'm like, I don't have time, because me and Scott are always like, spicy going in, spicy going out. That is exactly what we say all the time. And so I just tried to eliminate it. Side note, you guys, a lot of you know who Chip is. He loves spicy stuff. One time we were in Hawaii shooting Let's Get Up, and he got this hot sauce. They put a dab of hot sauce or whatever it was on his meal, and I just remember him not being able to even talk or even want to drink water. It was so hot. Anyway, so that's my first rule of thumb for today. If it's spicy going in, it's spicy going out, and it's going to wake you up at 4 a.m. Anyway, I woke up at 4 a.m. for that. But then I also felt a little sluggish, I felt like last night I felt weird. And I was like, oh, maybe it's just because I'm tired. But then when I woke up at 4 a.m., I was like, this feels kind of strange. And I'm not going to be one of those people that front. Like, if I'm feeling crazy, like if I feel like a little bit off kilter, I have my secret stash of Advil cold and sinus. This is not a plug for you to take pills, but if I feel like I have a slight fever, or if I'm getting like a sore throat-ish, I got my coldies, and I'm an Advil cold and sinus person. And one of the reasons I took the Advil cold and sinus is because, like, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but because I was hot. But then I realized I didn't have a fever. It was just the Chipotle that was making me hot, and I just had to go to the bathroom. But anyway, that's a whole nother situation. I'm laughing now because it's kind of funny. But I did feel under the weather, so I was like, you know what? Sometimes if I get up at 4 or 4:30, I won't go back to sleep at all, because I don't know if you guys remember on a podcast a long time ago, it was like, hey, if you had a substantial amount of sleep and you wake up, like, that's your body saying, okay. In this case, I really think it was the Chipotle. But I did wake up and did all that. And I was like, I'm going to get back into bed. I'm going to because I just feel like a little bit weird. And so I got back into bed. I didn't go back to sleep for a long time. But when I woke up, I was still feeling kind of weird. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to work out, because working out just makes me feel better. And then I got through my lifting part of my workout. I worked out shoulders today. If you're watching on YouTube, yeah, shoulders. But I was at the very end of my lifting part of my workout. I had to decide if I was going to go do that 30 minutes of cardio, or if I was like, you just feel really weird, like you feel more sluggish than normal. Or if I was just going to be like, you know what? Like, I'm just going to go to my car and, go eat and do what the next part of my day is. The thing is, if you would have asked me definitely 15 years ago, or sometimes probably even 10 years ago, I would have forced myself to do that cardio, because I would have been so obsessed with the fact that I didn't do cardio. I would have been so obsessed with the fact that I didn't burn these calories. I would have been so obsessed with strictly like my body image and how much body fat and how much I weighed. I would these things would be taking over my mind so freaking much that I would have gotten on that treadmill and I'd have been like, you got to dig deep, you got to push through, you got to go. And I would have exhausted myself. But I didn't do that today. I went, I got my protein shake. I came back, I had another burrito. But wait a minute, y'all. Like, I ordered 3 burritos yesterday because I have to eat 6 times a day. And I didn't realize that all the burritos are the same. So if I wake up at 4 o'clock tomorrow morning and I feel like I have a fever, it's not that I have a fever. But anyway, I digress. So I get my protein shake, I get in the car, and I get in my car from the gym. And I was also like, so still in my head, I was like, it's fine. And I was like, maybe I'll create my Insanity Max 30 and my T25 workouts and I'll do them later. And I immediately shut that down because I got in my car and I just felt tired. And so I drove home, I ate, and I really was getting ready to record this podcast. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. And I just promised myself I would take a nap after I'm done this because I just think it's really important for you guys to hear this. Now, my whole point to this first part of this conversation is that years ago, I would have destroyed myself. I would have felt really bad and I would have made myself feel really bad and forced myself to do this extra cardio, even though I had depleted all the glycogen in my muscles from lifting weights, purely for one reason, for body image. Well, not one reason. For body image, for weight loss, for thinking that I'm not going to be able to fit in these jeans, or thinking that I'm not going to have this 6-pack. I can't even tell you actually the amount of reasons why people force themselves to work out even when they're feeling under the weather is absolutely insane. When your body is literally saying you feel way different than normal, you feel extremely sluggish, you feel like you want to go to sleep. I know you have work to do, but so you're going to force yourself to do this when your body's literally telling you to rest. And the point is, in the past, I really would have had this extreme guilt feeling with all of these thoughts of how I have to look. And even if I'm not shooting for another week and a half or something like that, right? I would have been like, oh, but I have to be super lean for the shoot. And I completely don't think like that because now I do a few things. One, I literally listen to my body. I don't look at my body. I listen to my body because when you look at your body and you make decisions on whether you need to push forward and you push the feeling out of the way, especially if you're not feeling well, you could be dehydrated from not drinking a lot of water. You could have not slept. Well, sometimes if you're stressed because of life situations, working out does help, but also resting and sleep and getting that sometimes 10, I usually try to keep it to 9 to 11 minutes, but that 10 or 20 minute nap makes you feel better. And it is a much better choice. And more importantly, it is a much better choice for you to either cut your workout short or not work out at all. Because a lot of you immediately, in addition to all the other things I said when I was talking about weight loss and the way you look or whatever, a lot of you just literally think it's the end of the world and you feel like everything is going to hell and you're going to gain 75 pounds tomorrow. And you literally think this is going to happen because I'm not even going to use the word skipped, because you took time for yourself to rest. I'll tell you another story that's really interesting, and it's so cool that I'm talking about this today because I'm surprising my husband, Scott, with a trip for his birthday. He listens to this. He knows we're going somewhere, but I'm not going to tell you the location just in case he is listening. So I was training with Kristen yesterday. You guys, I talk about my trainer a lot. And she was like, when are you going on a vacation with Scott? And I was like, I told her around the time because it's his birthday. And she said, we're going to have a deload week that week. And I'm new to bodybuilding, so I kind of know what that is, but I'm like, can you be a little bit more specific, sis? And so she was like, you're not going to lift weights for a week. Now, mind you, I've been lifting weights every single day since the beginning of April with, obviously my regular days off. And I was like, you want me to take an entire week off? And so I'm asking her these questions. I've asked her these questions and I'm like, oh my gosh. She's like, yeah. And you're going to come back stronger and you're going to feel really rested And a lot of people hit their PRs after they take a week off. And, you know, it's really interesting because she was a cross country runner. She got a scholarship, and that's how she used to train. Just run, cardio, 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 insanity, insanity, insanity. Because she did do insanity, and she said, you know, for her it was really hard to understand when she got into the bodybuilding world and the physique world how important it was for your muscles to actually take that rest, and that they do come back stronger. And so, you know, we kind of had a conversation about it, and I was just like, oh, okay. So then I was like, so when I'm working out, she's like, yes, you can still work out. You can do cardio. I'm like, can I do push-ups? And she looked at me like, you're just like me. You want to find a workaround to continue to do, you know, what it is you're supposed to do. And she's like, you just need to do cardio. And so that was a learning experience for me. We get to the point where we feel successful, we feel consistent, we feel all these great things, but we don't really let ourselves have that roller coaster of events within your journey. Because if you do train over and over and over again, and if you don't take that rest, and if you do work out when you're overtired, or you do overstimulate your muscles, the first thing that happens is injury. Injury will happen before weight gain. Well, you're not going to gain weight in one day anyway, but by pushing yourself when you're tired, when you haven't slept, when you're under the weather, you're going to get injured. It's going to happen. It's just like all these people out there who are not eating enough to fuel themselves for their workout. They're so obsessed with just being thin. And I'll tell you, I was one of them. I think maybe I've told you the story before, but when I was shooting Asylum, I was like, I'm not going to eat. I want ripped. I was taking laxatives. I was doing all this stuff to make myself extremely ripped. And 3 days before the first time I was supposed to shoot, I pulled my hamstring. I was training for track and field. I was doing all this stuff by not fueling my body. And that was a super big eye opener. So I just want to tell you guys, it's just super, super important for you to literally, if your body is telling you to rest, rest. Now, you know, I say conquer your mind, transform your life. If you're just being lazy and be like, I don't feel like working out today, and you haven't been consistent, then get that ass up. If you don't have a fever, if you're not sick, you know, if you don't got the sniffles, go for it. And so, you know, just to dive into not feeling guilty about skipping a workout really fast, like this is completely psychological. It's not physical. You don't feel guilty, like you don't have a physical feeling of guilty. It is up here. Again, I'll go back to, let's just make pretend you're doing a 30-day program. Like let's say 60 days. You're doing 60 days of insanity. I put in the rest days for you. I put in a recovery week, and you've never done it before. Like you've never done insanity before, and you're like, holy crap, the fit test wore you out. And so you get, and you go and you go and you go. And then what happens is you're like, one day you work out, your muscles are overworked, you're getting progress, but you need to take a break. I'm the first person that would say, take the break of the day. Because if you've never worked out like that before, then, I mean, you've already won, right? So the guilty feeling is up here. Because, again, if you're consistent, you're going to have the physical results. Fitness, nutrition, if you visited your doctor, you're eating the right things. You know, I'm a big advocate now on getting your blood work done, because getting your blood work done will help you understand your hormone levels and all that different stuff that's happening in there. So that guilty feeling is not physical. It's not going to hurt your body to take a break. It's all mental. And so here's some of the things that I do if I'm having a day like that, which I don't have many anymore. I guess I'm kind of having a day like that today. Kinda. But if I'm having a day like that, I sleep. I take a nap. It's literally, if you can, I mean, obviously I work from home, but if you can go to your car at work, crack the windows, because we don't need nobody, you know, suffocating. But like, crack the windows in a safe place and take a 10-minute nap. It's going to completely change your mood. Try not to go more than 25 minutes, because then you're going to wake up madder than you were before you went to sleep, especially in the middle of the day. The other thing is, like, I don't know, like some of the things to do is I talk to people, I make, you know, I just kind of like do things that keep my energy up. Read a book, like do something that like takes your mind off of the fact that you're not working out. Like, you can continue to stay positive in this day and not beat yourself up. And I just want to reiterate, I know, I've been there, I've done it. I've been down that road in the worst way, but feeling guilty for yourself is only exacerbating your stress, to be honest. Like, you might as well take the day off, maybe even like go to bed earlier that night and wake up and feel a little bit more refreshed. And then the last story I want to kind of tell you when it comes to that part, where feeling guilty and taking time off. So obviously 2 years ago was the pandemic, and Scott and I, well, my entire family caught the VID. And I remember I took off that entire week. I didn't work out. And Scott was like, I'm working out. He's like, I ain't got time for this. Like, I'm gonna go work out. And I'm looking at him like, for real, like I'm sneezing, I'm sniffling, I'm falling asleep in random places in the house. But he felt completely different than me. He was like, I feel good. Like, I don't feel like anything. And so, that's the other thing. Like, if you have friends, close friends, or workout partners, or your spouse works out too, and one of the things that can really kind of be a detriment to your mental state is if one person's like working out and they're going for it and you're not, and you're looking at them like, oh my gosh, well, this person's like working out, then I should work out. That's another thing you shouldn't do, because that person is a completely different person to you. They have a completely different brain, genetic makeup. Again, you can eat the same things, sleep the same amount of times. Your energy is going to be different. Some people get sick. Like, Scott's not sick. God forbid he doesn't feel what I feel. But there's been times where he's had a cold for a week and I sleep with him and I never get sick. So don't compare yourself to other people when you're in this process, or look at a friend like, oh, he or she got to work out and I couldn't do it. Like, you're not giving up. You're not giving up. And if you need to take that break during one of the programs that you're doing, take the break. Take the break. And if anybody bullies you for taking a break, they're not somebody you should be around. Now, I'm going to kind of backtrack a little bit, because the idea of being consistent is basically the force to be able to deal with that negative self-talk. So if you have been consistent in your fitness and your nutrition and try as best you can in all of those areas, I mean, reality is, if I'm doing a 90-day challenge and I'm 70 days in and I follow it to a T, and day 71, I'm like, man, I can't do this. Am I going to force myself to do it that day, or am I going to pick up tomorrow? And that's the idea of consistency. And that's where consistency comes in, and you can use it as a superpower. And I say a lot, consistency over time equals results. And rest is a part of those results. Like, being able to rest is pretty much the most important thing when it comes to your results. So that's just another way to think about it. Listening to your body, making sure you take that time off and eliminate injuries, but focus on the consistency. And when you focus on the consistency, I mean, you're just basically celebrating. I feel like another way for people to really understand this, it's just like having money in the bank. If you have saved your money and you've been really good at saving money, I know a lot of people are having financial problems right now, but I'm just saying, if you can save some money. But if you save money and then your car breaks down, you're not overly stressed, because you're like, I saved money. Like, I have my flat tire and I can get it fixed, But imagine if you're just going, and you're spending. And when your flat tire happens, now you're on the side of the road. Now you either got to call, a tow truck that's going to put you more in debt, because you haven't saved. You haven't been consistency in saving that energy. So when you're working out and you're pushing forward, those results that you're getting by being consistent, you basically can utilize that on those days that you don't feel great. Especially, it's going to help your mental health and your negative thoughts around taking that break. You're like, man, I got so much money in the bank. Like, I'm cool. Like, 1, 2, even 3 days is not going to stop me. And I want to say this. So many people, fitness professionals, I think most fitness professionals out there will tell you at some point they have been psychotic about this. They have been crazy. I see a lot of reels going around on Instagram, and it's so true, where people will tell fitness professionals or, personal trainers or whatever, they'll be like, oh, you don't need to work out, because it's like, no, like I didn't get here from not working out. And in the same breath, a lot of them will tell you, I got here because I was in a bad place, because I did, and during their process, most fitness professionals had an experience where it was unhealthy along the way. One of my friends, you guys know Shalene Johnson, like she'll tell you, when we film our workouts, a lot of times it is like overwhelming. It's extremely overwhelming, and it beats us down. And so we all, even as fitness professionals, have to find a way to find our consistency, to find that positive mental health, positive mental space, so that we don't let moments like this completely destroy us, because it's about the look, it's about the weight, it's about the magazine, it's about the photo shoot, and we're constantly judging ourselves. And so just don't fall into that, because you literally don't have to. And the last thing I'll say is, if you're not a fitness professionals is like, let's compare it to lawyers, right? A lawyer has to know contracts, they have to know how to talk to people, they have to know how to navigate their way through shadiness. This is what they do. And fitness professionals, we are constantly working out, we're constantly going forward, we're constantly pushing forward, right? So you have the lawyer and you have the fitness professional, and both of them at times can be extremely, extremely overworked, right? One by using their brain, one by using their body. And so both people have to take time to take a rest. So whatever profession you're in, it's the same as that. You have to utilize your fitness and your desire to not want to take a break, and look at it like, what, everybody needs a break from doing something for us to grow. But I want to dive into just like the negative self-talk that happens from this. So the minute you feel like you should work out, even though you feel bad, you have started the snowball of negativity. You have literally been like, well, I don't feel great. Technically, I want to take a break and I want to take a nap, or I want to fuel my body in some other way. But you're like, I should. And the minute you should, when your body's telling you shouldn't, then the negative self-talk happens. Then you're like, oh my gosh, but if I don't work out, then I'm probably not going to work out tomorrow. And this is where a lot of people falter, especially when they're doing some of my programs or other people's programs. It's like 1 day, 2 day, and you've had such negative self-talk, you just stop. You just completely stop. Instead of saying, for today, I'm just going to like take this moment and have like some personal time, and hopefully you're not too sick and you can just relax when you get home and not have to force yourself to do something. And so it's just really important for you guys out there to make sure that taking a break becomes a part of recovery. Here's the next thing I want to say, because it's really about recovery here. You should literally, and so many people, even in the fitness profession, have a hard time doing this. You should spend at minimum, this is minimum, 25% of the time recovering as you do working out. So let's say if you work out for an hour, you should spend a minimum of 15 minutes doing post-workout recovery. Foam rolling, stretching, some people ice, some people just cool their body down. A minimum. So like somebody like me, I work out, I definitely have a cool down. I do like a 15-minute like come down, but there are multiple days a week where I get body work. Like I finish my workout and I go there's a guy who does stretching at my gym, and I spend an hour, and like sometimes it's fun getting stretched, but it is like, oh my gosh, like this is so long and I just want to go back. Now, I know a lot of people don't have this time. That's why I say 15 minutes. So you can even do it at night in your house. But my knees used to be really, really, really bad. Like I would not even want to attempt to do an insanity workout just because of the years and years of pounding. And now, because I spend a minimum of 25% of the time of my workout, post-workout, recovering and stretching and getting body work. Thank God my trainer is actually a physical therapist, so I have that in my pocket, which is really great. But my knees Like when I first started lifting weights and doing like leg press and all the leg stuff with the heavy weights, I was in so much pain. I used to have to use wedges. And now, because I spend the time recovering, and I try my best to get the, for me, if I'm at 6.5 or 7 hours of sleep is when I can go to sleep without an alarm and wake up. And so that's how I know I'm getting really good sleep. So make sure you find that recovery, because that recovery is going to make you feel good. Scott is a perfect example. Before he gets in bed every night, he literally foam rolls every single night without fail. And if we're in a hotel, he's stretching on the doorway, he's stretching his shoulders. And a lot of people say like, oh my gosh, I can't believe Scott is 50. That's because he spends, I mean, I've never seen anybody stretch as much as him. Like it's insane. And for years, he's been consistent with stretching. And I mean, even though I'm a fitness professional and I was like, I'm flexible, this is rubbed off on me. So those are other ways that you can eliminate injury, you enhance your results. And if you need to take a break, if you need to take off, you know that you've been doing all of this stuff to make you feel really good. This is the most important thing I'll say today. I'll recap, get sleep, don't have that negative self-talk, be consistent, be okay with working out, don't compare yourself to other people. Your body is your body. I high five people that take off a day or two. And I might even say take off for a week. That might sound really crazy, but here's the thing. If you're eating and you feel really good, taking off a week of working out, I'll tell you this. Here's a very interesting story. Every single time I've done a test group for almost all of my programs before we started mostly streaming stuff, people would have their results. Let's take Insanity or Insanity Max 30, for instance. They would work out for 60 days. They would take their after pictures on that final day. And then like a week later, every single one of them was even more shredded, or they had like their body had kind of maybe lost another pound if their goal was to lose weight. And the reason why is because those days after they finished that group, they rested and they probably ate a little bit more. And I wish I would have known this back then, to give people that freedom to be like, no, eat a little more. Like your muscles need that sugar, needs that glycogen, it needs that. And so that is the point I want to say first, is that when you rest, your body feels and will look even better. Another little interesting fact for those of you who don't know, like if I were to do a photo shoot tomorrow, I'm going to stand up so you can see my abs, because I know y'all want to see my abs. Here's the crazy thing. I'm not saying to do this, but if I took off tomorrow, I took off today, but if I took off tomorrow and I ate some Reese's Pieces and like some of my, like if I ate like ice cream, which I can't eat, and I just took the day off, the next day I would look even more shredded. And the reason why is because you rest. Why do you think that at night, like, do you ever eat during the day, you eat and you go to bed at night and you're like, oh my gosh, like I just feel so bloated. And the next morning you wake up and you're like, oh, well, it's not that bad. That's because when your body's at rest, it is healing itself. It is digesting the food. It's not fighting against the stress of the day. It's not fighting against anything except you are just relaxed. And at the end of the day, if there's no other reason why you feel like you should have the power to rest, that's it, because your body's healing itself. And the very, very last thing I'll say is, don't let the fitness industry, commercials, other people's Instagram posts, even if they're positive results, people's perfect lives, bully you into making you feel like you have to work out every day. You absolutely do not. And I'm not sure if I told this story on the podcast before. I'm getting old. I feel like my grandfather. Like, I tell stories all the time, but it'll be good for new people to hear this. So when Scott and I got married, we had a florist for our wedding. And when we met her, she asked me, like, oh, I want to work out, and can I do Insanity? And I remember at the meeting to get the flowers, I remember standing up and being like, just do maybe the warm up, one round of the warm up for a week, and like literally that's it. That's 3.5 minutes. And I was like, and modify it. Right. And she took her time. And, that's kind of all we talked about. And just under a year later, she had lost 80 pounds. Now, it's not about the weight loss. It's about the consistency. She had lost 80 pounds. And on that day, she said, I just finished my first Insanity workout. It was consistency. So my whole point is, don't let people bullying you into being like, you have to do this. It is your journey. It's what you have to do. And you don't have to kill yourself every day. You don't have to do what I tell you to do. You have to find something that you love to do. And if you find something that you love to do, then when you are consistent and you take that day off, you're not going to beat yourself up. So don't be bullied by the fitness industry. Take that day off, get some rest, and always trust and believe in who you are.